Good evening. From Berlin today comes a story of diplomacy, economics and European cooperation. At the German Chancellery, Chancellor Friedrich Merz welcomed Swiss President Karin Keller-Sutter on her very first official visit to the German capital. The moment may appear ceremonial, but behind the handshakes and smiles lay a deeper message about trade, borders and Europe's place in a world under strain. In his remarks, the Chancellor began warmly. Ja, meine Damen und Herren, ich freue mich sehr, dass ich heute die Bundespräsidentin der Schweiz im Kanzleramt herzlich willkommen heißen darf. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased today to warmly welcome the President of Switzerland here at the Chancellery. It was not just courtesy. Merz underlined that Switzerland is a verlässlicher und guter Nachbar, a reliable and good neighbour. This choice of words reflected a long history of close cross-border ties built on trust, commerce and shared democratic traditions. With cameras flashing, Merz shifted briefly to a lighter note. He spoke of the Women's European Football Championship held in Switzerland earlier that summer, praising the host nation's organisational excellence and atmosphere. He described it as a Sommer voller großartiger Fußballmomente, a summer of unforgettable football moments. While Germany's team had not reached the final, he joked that otherwise he would have gladly been in Basel to cheer them on. Behind this casual opening, however, the Chancellor's real agenda soon became clear, strengthening bilateral and European cooperation at a time when the global order appears fractured. Merz declared that relations between Germany and Switzerland are excellent, and that both countries are determined to expand them further. He pointed in particular to newly negotiated agreements aimed at modernising and broadening the EU-Swiss partnership. These, he argued, must now be quickly implemented. Doing so, he explained, would make both economies more wettbewerbsfähiger und widerstandsfähiger, more competitive and more resilient. But even as he spoke of resilience, Merz acknowledged the storm clouds gathering over international commerce. The world trading system, he said, is under dour stress, permanent stress. And nowhere is this more visible than in the strained trade relations with the United States. Switzerland, he reminded his audience, has been hit particularly hard by Washington's high tariffs. This is why Merz continued, Europe must enger zusammenrücken und zusammenarbeiten, draw closer together and work hand in hand. In the Chancellor's view, the answer to external pressure lies in deeper European unity, not fragmentation. The bilateral dimension, however, runs deeper than politics and tariffs. Merz highlighted the shared border regions where Germans and Swiss collaborate daily in cutting-edge fields such as pharmaceuticals and biotechnology. These cross-border research and innovation hubs, he said, are Spitzenleistungen, peak achievements, that benefit not just the two neighbours but the whole of Europe. Equally important is the question of borders themselves. Thousands of commuters cross the German-Swiss frontier every single day. For them, Merz insisted, freedom of movement must be preserved. Wir wollen, dass diese Menschen sich möglichst frei bewegen können, he said. We want these people to continue moving as freely as possible. At a time when migration debates often dominate headlines, his emphasis on open borders with Switzerland stood out as a reaffirmation of Schengen principles. The Chancellor also referenced regional cooperation beyond Germany and Switzerland alone. With neighbouring France, he noted, the Oberrhein Government Commission will soon mark its 50th anniversary. Such examples, Merz argued, show that practical cross-border collaboration is not only possible but essential. The conversation then turned to security, specifically the war in Ukraine. Merz assured Keller-Sutter that Germany remains committed to doing everything possible to secure peace. He went further, suggesting that Geneva could serve as a suitable host city for future ceasefire negotiations. This proposal tapped into Switzerland's historic role as a neutral venue for international diplomacy, while signalling Germany's determination to anchor Switzerland more firmly in Europe's broader peace efforts. Of his sharpest assessments, the World Trade Organization, long the backbone of global commerce, is no longer functioning effectively. Dispute settlement mechanisms remain blocked, rules unenforced, and confidence weakened. But instead of abandoning the system, Merz insisted it must be revived. Europe and Switzerland, he said, should push together to re-establish a regelbasierte Ordnung, a rules-based order. Here, the Chancellor's message carried a broader warning. If nations retreat into protectionism and tariffs, small and medium-sized economies like Switzerland and export powerhouses like Germany will be among the first to suffer. Both, he stressed, are sehr stark exportorientierte, Volkswirtschaften, highly export-oriented economies, and both know that their prosperity depends on open markets, fair rules, and predictable systems. Merz concluded by emphasizing shared convictions. Switzerland and Germany, he said, are engagierte Vertreter eines offenen, freien, fairen Welthandels, committed advocates of open, free and fair world trade. It was not mere rhetoric. For two countries deeply tied to global markets, this principle is economic survival. As the press event drew to a close, President Keller-Sutter returned the compliment. Thanking Germany for its hospitality, she recalled the football final where she had expected to meet Merz in Basel. Aber manchmal kommt es halt anders, she smiled, and sometimes things turn out differently. But in Berlin that day, things had turned out exactly as intended. A reaffirmation of friendship, a call for cooperation, and a reminder that in times of turbulence, Europe's neighbours must hold fast to one another. This visit may have lasted only hours, yet the words spoken at the Chancellery echoed far beyond its walls. From tariff disputes with Washington, to the deadlock at the WTO, to the desperate search for peace in Ukraine, the themes raised here matter to every corner of the continent. And in Berlin, Friedrich Merz and Karin Keller-Sutter made it clear that Germany and Switzerland will face these challenges together.